Now, audio sound bites. Let's start with George Stephanopolous and Jonathan Karl. This is after Trump's inaugural address.
He began with a thank you for everyone behind him on that west front of the Capitol, members of Congress, senators, Republicans, Democrats, former presidents, but then a direct attack on all of them for failing America.
That was something else, George, to hear him say that this is a transfer of power, not just from one party to another party, but from Washington, D.C. to the American people. This was an attack on the politicians in both parties that were surrounding him. After that rather blistering attack on everybody around him, he did return to that theme of unity, a broader theme of unity. And I thought the line that we'll hear a lot was when he said, whether we are black, brown, or white, we all bleed the red blood of patriots.
The one acknowledgement that we have very many different types of Americans is notice what they think. Yeah, that's what everybody's going to focus on. No, that's not going to be what everybody's focusing on. They continue to misread it. Here is, by the way, right, Trump is signing it looks like some ceremonial executive orders right now. And the reason I say it's ceremonial is because Nancy Pelosi's there trying to horn in on it, and she's smiling. So if Trump was actually doing something meaningful today, Pelosi wouldn't be there smiling. So obviously, the members of Congress, you know what happens when the president signs something? He signs one letter with a pen and then gives somebody the pen. Then grabs the pen, signs another letter of his name. And in some cases, part of a letter. You can use sometimes 20 pens signing your name as president. Everybody gets a pen that you used. And Pelosi's in there trying to get in on the action. And let's see, we got basically there's Paul Ryan there and Barron Trump, Mr. and Mrs. Pence, Roy Blunt, Mitch McConnell there on camera left, the Trump familia in the back. I mean, in this camera shot, correct me if I'm wrong, the only Democrat in there is Pelosi. In the camera shot, I don't see a Schumer. I'm looking for a ball. Oh, he was standing up. Oh, yeah, there he is next to Mitch. Just came in next to Mitch McConnell. Okay, here's the next series of bites. This is Trump. One of the moments calling out Washington politicians sitting right behind him. Soundbite number 23.
For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs.
They're sitting right behind
it. And while they celebrated in our nation's capital, there was little to celebrate for struggling families all across our land.
They're sitting right behind him. He's talking about the very people sitting right behind him. And they knew it. I mean, it was incredible. You know, Trump had a line. What was the line? He said something about when you open your heart to patriotism, there is no room for prejudice. When you open your heart to patriotism, there is no room for prejudice. It's an interesting thought experiment. Anyway, so Trump has just ripped their hide off, as Bob Sheever said. Now let's listen to F. Chuck Todd and Tom Brokaw describe this.
I have to say it was surprisingly divisive for an inaugural address. He went with populism, and I think that it's going to play well with his folks. But that wasn't the type of inaugural address that was intended to bring this country together.
Playing well with the crowd.
There was a point there, Lester, where it felt as if he almost was insulting every living president that was sitting next to him in very personal ways.
He was also insulting all the Republican congressmen and senators who were on that stage. He has a majority, but he went after politicians point blank.
See, I'm telling you, these are establishment people themselves, and they were thinking that today was going to be the day that Trump was going to take the first step to joining them on their side of whatever aisle. And Trump doubled down and basically echoed his campaign themes in an inaugural. You know, he did this last night in the event at the Lincoln Memorial. He gave a prelude to this speech. It was a very short set of comments last night, but it was basically a repetition of many of the campaign themes, like this was. And they went to pundits at Fox. Oh, very, very disappointed. Very, very disappointed in the speech tonight. Too short, way too short. More like a campaign rally. This did not have presidential timber, was the reaction last night on Fox. And I think they were expecting Trump to be somebody that he's not. Because remember, in their world, everybody becomes who they are in order to advance in their world. Anyway, I take a break here, my friends. We will be right back with much more. Welcome back. Great to have you, Rush Limbaugh, here on the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, 800-282-2882. You know, if there's any arrogance or condescending here, it's Chuck Todd, like in the soundbite we just played. I have to say, it was surprisingly divisive for an inaugural address. With populism, I think it's going to play well with his people, but it wasn't the inaugural address that was intended to bring the country. Yes, it was. You know, it's Chuck, you don't figure that the American people are not with you, Chuck. The American people elected Donald Trump, not you. In spite of you, Chuck, not personally, but you guys in the media, the American people elected Donald Trump, not you. You do not define what's unifying and what. You guys are not on the ball here. Well, this was surprisingly divisive. Divisive? Wasn't divisive. It was a calling out. It was a reclamation. I'm telling you, that's what this was. This entire 24-hour period is a reclamation, a reclaiming of this country from people who wish to transform it and make it something it was never intended to be. This country's been rescued. And in that, there is unity. I guarantee you, there's going to be a boatload of Bernie Sanders Democrats who are probably privately, don't want anybody to see them, applauding what Trump said today in part. No, it doesn't concern me. Just telling the media does not define who's unified and who isn't. They don't define unity. The media doesn't get to tell us what kind of country we are. And if it isn't the kind of country they want, then something's wrong. They don't get to do that. They may have in the past. They may have gotten away with that in the past, but not now.